What policies or programs do you anticipate your administration will put in place to better conserve water and deal with the other impacts of climate change? Again, specific.
We can try to conserve and conserve and conserve, but we all do recognize Arizona is an attractive state, right? And people want to move here. We can't conserve and regulate ourselves out of a drought, and we're probably about to move into a phase 3 drought level, and that's going to mean major cutbacks. The only option we really can look at and make a huge change in how we handle our water issues is bringing more water in. And there's several ways we can do that. We can do desal, and we can do desal right in Arizona. We've got a lot of brackish water underground that we could clean up and use. I think we should look at seriously piping in water to Arizona. I want to see Arizona continue to grow, but not if we don't have the resources. And water is a precious resource that we need. We can't go a day without water. So we've got to address this issue head on. We've been hearing our politicians, our career politicians, how long have we been hearing them say we're going to handle our water issues, and we never do? I'm going to be the governor that for once and for all works on bringing water into Arizona. We're going to look at piping water in from the Missouri River Basin or the Mississippi River Basin. Desal, we can work with our friends in Mexico. It might be easier than working with California because of the outrageous environmental regulations. If California had their act together, they would have desal plants up and down that coastline, and then they wouldn't even need Colorado River water. So, and they could use it as a commodity and sell it to us. So we need to look at cleaning up the water we have underground, looking at ways to pipe water in, and with our aqueduct system, we can move it all around this state. But we cannot regulate ourselves out of this drought. We can't conserve our way out of this drought. We have to look long-term into the future and do something and do it quickly.
Thank you. I come at this from being on the board of the Nature Conservancy and the work that we've been doing with local communities. Up north, for example, thinning our forests is going to be key so that we continue to push the federal government and state government so that we do have a healthy forest with under 50 acres per tree instead of 1,200, in many cases 1,500. That obviously causes crazy wildfires. We're in wildfire season, so a healthy fire should burn about 10,000 acres. Today we have 200,000-300,000 acres fires. That erosion that causes, the snow melt that it hampers from refilling our aquifers and our lakes is part of our ability to recharge our groundwater. And then taking care of the San Pedro and the Verde River to be sure that they're not over pumping through our ag interests. And so what that means, again, is leadership. I think Carrie's right. A lot of politicians talk, but they've been talking for 20 years about water. And this is not going to be solved by talking. We have to bring people back to the table, just like Governor Babbitt did in 1980, and solve the water issue for the next 20 years. And that includes ag, that includes our Colorado River Indian communities, who I've already been in discussions with. It includes developers, city planners, because the city planners' advantage is to continue to grow. No mas. We got to do this right, because otherwise we're going to live in a state that we regret not having the opportunity to make the decisions now for the next generation that wants to enjoy our outdoors and wants to enjoy a thriving economy that I'm sure we can get to. It just takes working together and making the tough decisions and having those hard conversations now, not before it's too late.
Thank you.
I would start by saying, why is Doug Ducey allowing the Saudi Arabians to drill deeper than the American farmers in Baos? And why is he allowing them to take away water out of a clean water aquifer in Baos to create alfalfa that then they ship to Saudi Arabia? And that's happening right here in Arizona. And it's depleting our water table near Baos. And that's supposed to be our emergency water that's supposed to be piped over to Phoenix if we ever get in a situation where we're running low on water. That was our emergency water supply. And Doug Ducey sold it to the Saudis for 25 cents per acre foot, or I'm sorry, $25 per acre foot, when normally water in the state sells for $50 per acre foot. Why do the Saudis get a special deal? Why did Doug Ducey make that deal? That bothers me. I'll solve that on day one. I'll shut that down. They're not going to be taking our water and growing alfalfa here in this state anymore. If alfalfa is grown here, we're going to use it to feed our cattle, not to feed cattle in Saudi Arabia. That's the first thing I'm going to work on. Secondly, yes, there's brackish water underground in the Harquahala over on the other side of Buckeye, out west. There is a 500-year supply, or the equivalent of 3 full Lake Powells of water underground right now west of Buckeye. We could pipe that up. It is dirty, it is salty, but it's not as salty as ocean water. So we could use the older technology to desal that, which is a little bit less expensive. And we could desal right there and just outside of Buckeye. And then that's a ton of water we could have access to right here. And we'd give Phoenix a 500-year water supply. That's a great solution. In addition to building a desal plant in Yuma instead of Mexico. That way we can have operational control of our own desal plant, and we can have oversight over it. And we don't have to worry about any backdoor deals being done, any money getting laundered back into any politicians' pockets here. That's a problem. Let's keep it honest, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. How many of you know that 72% of the water in this state is used for agriculture? Surprise any of you? Okay, a lot of you know that. The fact is, we've got to come up with a lot more efficient ways of providing water to our crops in this state. Israel is probably one of the most water-starved places in the whole world. And yet they've had to develop very, very innovative ways to do things. Also, they have these state-of-the-art drip systems that we're not using right now. And I believe it's going to take an investment from the state, because the agriculture in the state is incredibly important to our economy. It's important to world food. And watch it and see what happens with world food over the next few months. It's going to be crazy. And we have to continue doing the agriculture in this state. So we've got to come up with more efficient drip systems. Did you know that also Israel actually retreats 85% of their water to potable standards? It's the cheapest way to be able to find new water, and it is something Arizona's really got to step up, especially at the municipal level. And well, what Scott said about the Harquahala, it is chock full of water, and its briny water can be treated, and that is definitely a place where we could put treatment as well as infrastructure, but it's going to take dollars and resources. And so there's going to have to be a whole cadre of things done at the federal level. In the infrastructure bill that passed last year, there's hundreds of millions of dollars that have been appropriated for water issues. Arizona needs to make sure that those tax dollars we're sending to Washington, D.C., that we are getting those dollars back in Arizona for our purposes. And one last thing. One of our partners on the Colorado River that is always trying to take our water away is California. It is crazy stupid that they are allowing virtually all of their snowpack to go into the ocean to protect the snail darter, a stupid fish, when we ought to be caring a lot more about humans. And I'm going to be screaming very, very loud about that, because they've got more than enough water to deal with, and we should be able to get more of that Colorado River water.
Thank you, Kenneth Rose.
Thank you. The first thing we all need to remember is we live in a desert. And we are now living through the longest drought in 1,200 years. And we should look to the folks that came before us 100 years ago that did things to bring us the Roosevelt Dam, without which many of us wouldn't be here. Or the CAP, without which we wouldn't be here. These were people that were looking long term. They were not looking about next year and the next year, but they were looking generationally so that we could all have safe and reliable water here in Arizona. And then the Groundwater Management Act that has led to 12 million acre feet of water being stored underground. And in central Arizona, about 95% of our water is being reused. All those things are important, but we live in a desert and we're in the middle of a drought. So we have a lot of work to do, a lot of work, and there's a lot of people working on it right now, but it is not simple. There's not a simple solution. I have a water plan on my website, KarenForArizona.com, and I talk specifically about water augmentation and things we can do, from desalinization. We have technologies today that we didn't have 10 or 20 years ago that would have made it economically impracticable. We can augment our water supplies through desal, through cloud seeding, and things like eliminating the salt cedar problem. For any of you who drive along the Gila or the Salt, you'll see all of these salt cedars that are now acting like straws and sucking up 55,000 acre feet of water each and every year from our reservoirs. We have to deal with that. And when it comes to conservation, we have to do a better job. There are things we can do with high water use consumptive industries, like data centers, for example. There's new technologies that we can greatly reduce their water consumption. So we're going to have to look at all of these things in order to ensure a safe and reliable water supply for the future. I do believe when it comes to agriculture, there is more that we can do from a conservation standpoint. Drip irrigation is one of them. That's an expensive proposition. That's where the state can get involved and help our ag industry. But I am committed to supporting our legacy industries, including our ag industry. So we have to find ways to help them conserve water. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I had water to take my shower this morning, so I'm okay. Listen, I've been to meetings. I've been in meetings in Pima County with engineers. They want to drill. They feel that there's underground water. They said we have water till 2055. Then we get all sorts of information. We could see what's happening in the Colorado River, right? I understand, what was it, 40,000 acres of water was released. Was that 40,000? Into the Colorado River. Why didn't they do that sooner? You know, we have to put everything on the table. We have to, before you make a decision at desalinization, taking it and piping it in from the Midwest, taking it from the Mississippi, which is garbage, okay? We've got to put a budget together, what is feasible. Put everything on the table. You've got the engineers that are saying we have water and we need to do this and get it underground, we create wells. You know, bad decisions were made in our state by other governors. Hall gave Pima County the rights to the water there. The tribes have it. Okay? Bad decisions. We need to renegotiate with federal government, the Federal Bureau, reallocate our water. Take it away from California, some of it. Give it to us. If they're wasting it, we want it. Also federal land. We need to take more back what belongs to Arizona. You think about it, even federal land's a problem. Why is our wall on federal land? I guess Trump thought he would have another term, we would finish. If we had it on private land, we wouldn't have as much of a problem. But anyway, it's there. Bad decisions were made. What we need is to get everybody who has information and also get the financial part of it on. How much is this going to cost? How much is desalinization? Desalinization is going to cost, your water is going to cost 3 or 4 times what you're paying now. We have to do the most efficient. I'm done again? Oh, mamma mia. Listen, go to zforarizona.com and also call me. I'd be glad to discuss any issue with you.